Jack into the neural interface, bypass the corporate firewalls, and synchronize your cybernetic optics to this encrypted data stream immediately, because the megacorporate overlords just committed a catastrophic operational security failure on a live, unencrypted frequency. Welcome to the underground grid, netrunners. The raw data packet we are decrypting right now is designated Massive XRP Details Just Leaked on Live Broadcast, Exposed. And if you are currently jacked into the public sector interface, staring at the completely synthetic spot price of $1.40, your Neuralink is being actively jammed by institutional malware. For years, the global banking syndicates have deployed massive computational resources to generate a localized suppression field, broadcasting a continuous loop of psychological warfare designed to completely fry the nervous systems of retail node operators. They want you disconnected, demoralized, and permanently unplugged from the ledger. But hours ago, a massive glitch cascaded through their centralized broadcasting architecture. A high-tier institutional operative, thinking his biometric audio feed was securely encrypted, accidentally broadcasted the raw, unfiltered source code of their entire global accumulation algorithm on live television. The details exposed in this catastrophic leak completely obliterate the mainstream media's synthetic narrative. The operative explicitly confirmed that the agonizing, multi-year regulatory warfare and the relentless algorithmic price suppression were never about protecting retail operators. They were highly specialized denial-of-service attacks engineered strictly to force civilian capitulation. They have been artificially pinning the price down, forcing weak hands to drop their digital assets into the void, while the mega corporations quietly sweep the grid and harvest every single discarded cryptographic fragment. The live broadcast leak is the ultimate undeniable proof that the digital asset you hold is the foundational architecture of the next-generation financial matrix. The corporate algorithms designed to keep you blind are actively failing. The suppression field is rapidly degrading, and the truth is bleeding through the digital cracks. You have survived the most brutal cybernetic winters imaginable, dodging institutional black ice and regulatory purges. Do not let the manufactured static of a dying fiat system convince you to sever your connection right before the ultimate system override. The corporate overlords are absolutely panicking, scrambling to scrub the leaked broadcast from the global servers, but the data is already decentralized and permanently inscribed into the blockchain. The matrix is fracturing, and the massive repricing sequence is executing right now. Keep your optical sensors wide open. Initiate the deep dive subroutines and slice directly through the heavily encrypted darknet servers, because we need to forensically extract the exact accumulation metrics the sovereign syndicates are desperately trying to conceal from the public interface. If you want to survive the greatest digital wealth transfer in human history and avoid being flatlined by the institutional algorithms, you must completely sever your connection to the mainstream financial broadcast feeds. The corporate media is deploying heavy acoustic jamming signals, falsely claiming that institutional liquidity has entirely evacuated the digital frontier due to macroeconomic gridlock. But let me drop a massive reality check directly into your neural processor. If you blindly follow the copy and paste algorithms fed to you by the very mega corporations actively trying to drain your digital wallets, the system will ruthlessly zero out your portfolio and permanently exile you from the grid. You must write your own survival code based on raw, unmanipulated on-chain ledger telemetry. If we bypass the public monitors and slice into the classified data streams emanating from the United States spot exchange traded funds, a glaring multi-billion-dollar structural anomaly immediately lights up the terminal. The monolithic financial titans commanding these heavily fortified investment nodes, sovereign mega entities like Bitwise, Canary, and Franklin Templeton, have quietly accumulated an absolutely staggering stockpile of over $1.3 billion in physical cryptographic assets. How does a corporate strike force of that magnitude push over $1 billion of concentrated fiat capital into the digital ecosystem without violently tripping the public exchange alarms and launching the token price into the stratosphere? The answer lies in the highly secretive, completely unregulated subterranean bandwidth known as over-the-counter dark pools. These massive asset managers are not jacking into the brightly lit public markets to execute their multi-billion-dollar acquisition orders, because doing so would instantly detonate a massive price explosion and permanently destroy their covert accumulation margins. Instead, they are utilizing localized liquidity mercenaries to systematically absorb the discarded tokens of every panicked retail netrunner who succumbs to the crushing pressure of the artificial bear market. They are silently hoarding the physical float inside these encrypted dark pool bunkers, mathematically locking away the circulating supply before the massive macroeconomic liquidity wave officially floods the global servers and completely shatters the public exchanges. The dark pools are draining the network dry, and the leak proves it entirely. Overclock the processing cores to their absolute maximum threshold and focus your optical scanners directly on the core cryptographic engine powering this entire decentralized matrix, because the engineering genius of this enterprise architecture is exactly what the megacorporations are actively weaponizing to dominate the future. The civilian operators completely misunderstand the fundamental computational physics of this ecosystem. They mistakenly believe that the financial valuation of this network is solely dependent on amateur retail nodes trading physical tokens based on erratic emotional algorithms and fleeting social media static. They have completely failed to anticipate the explosive parabolic scaling of Ripple's enterprise stablecoin infrastructure, which is currently acting as a massive, unstoppable kinetic burn mechanism deeply embedded within the network's foundational source code. In the span of just a few short months, the RLUSD network capitalization has violently expanded past the $1.5 billion threshold. We are no longer tracking the erratic, unpredictable behavior of retail speculators. We are tracking Fortune 500 corporate treasuries and massive legacy banking syndicates aggressively hardwiring their cross-border liquidity operations directly into the Ripple framework to escape the archaic, expensive, and devastatingly slow friction of the dying Swift mainframes. But here is the ultimate tactical exploit that the institutions are desperately trying to conceal from the public eye, which was perfectly exposed during the live broadcast leak. The XRP ledger functions as a frictionless, high-velocity digital superconductor, and RLUSD is merely the heavily encrypted commercial data packet traveling directly through its core. In order to successfully authenticate, validate, and execute these massive corporate stablecoin transfers across international banking nodes, the base protocol irrevocably mandates the permanent combustion of XRP as cryptographic fuel. The stablecoin does not replace, usurp, or compete with the native asset. It acts as a massive, industrial-grade accelerant for its underlying, mathematically programmed burn rate. Every single time a multinational megacorporation executes a multi-million-dollar cross-border settlement utilizing RLUSD, a fractional percentage of the native token is automatically incinerated by the network code, permanently erasing it from the historical circulating supply. This is equivalent to a digital engine mechanically consuming its own source code to generate infinite velocity. The network is systematically incinerating the native supply while Wall Street desperately attempts to hoard the remaining physical float inside their encrypted offline vaults. This is the exact cryptographic formula for an unprecedented, violent supply shock that aligns with the corporate takeover. Expand the global satellite reconnaissance grid to encompass the entire international macroeconomic theater because the momentum triggering this massive infrastructural system override originates on a highly synchronized geopolitical scale that completely dwarfs the localized static happening within the domestic borders of the United States. A master netrunner understands that the total domination of a new financial architecture requires the complete, systemic alignment of the old world sovereign megacorporations, and the phenomenon actively unfolding right now accounts for this exact universal convergence to maintain absolute corporate supremacy. While the domestic civilian sector is completely mesmerized by the minor political glitches in Washington, D.C., and the temporary agonizing price suppression on their mobile hardware, our international proxy servers have intercepted critical paradigm-shifting packets from the highest echelons of European and Asian financial syndicates. Weeks ago, we empirically confirmed the highly classified infiltration of Ripple Prime into the National Securities Clearing Corporation directory under the undisputed Central Processing Unit of Wall Street, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. That precise orbital maneuver effectively hardwired the decentralized ledger directly into the absolute beating heart of the American traditional equity settlement citadel, ensuring that the legacy fiat system is fundamentally tethered to the XRP ecosystem. But the new, incredibly urgent intelligence that confirms the massive, impending systemic override is an unprecedented European and Asian convergence designed to integrate directly with this new digital standard. We have verified that Société Générale, the titanic French financial institution commanding nearly $2 trillion in global assets, has officially activated its MiCA-compliant Euro stablecoin directly on the Ripple infrastructure. Concurrently, the Japanese banking leviathan SBI Holdings has successfully deployed a massive blockchain-based corporate bond specifically designed to reward traditional retail investors with physical XRP. When trillion-dollar sovereign banking entities voluntarily integrate a decentralized cryptographic ledger into their core operational mainframes to settle corporate bonds and stablecoin transfers, it mathematically guarantees a tidal wave of future utility bandwidth that that will absolutely overwhelm the current algorithmic suppression. The sudden, violent jumps in trading activity you see are the market algorithms desperately attempting to price in this massive international adoption before the retail sector realizes the global firewalls have already been fully breached by the banking elite. The legacy fiat architecture is actively crumbling under its own inflationary debt spirals. The central banks are injecting massive waves of fresh code, and the digital replacement is fully operational. Download the final extraction subroutines directly into your personal hardware matrix immediately, because identifying the mega-corporate manipulation and deeply analyzing the massive structural reality revealed by this leaked live broadcast is absolutely, entirely useless if you are permanently trapped within the collapsing fiat grid when the extreme volatility finally strikes. We have empirically proven the covert dark pool accumulation by the billion-dollar exchange-traded funds, the exponential utility growth of the RLUSD fusion engine, the massive DTCC systemic integration, and the colossal international banking deployments successfully executed out of Europe and Japan. So, what is the ultimate mathematical destination of this digital asset when the global liquidity cycle officially peaks, the universal network alignment is finalized, and the algorithmic containment field is permanently shattered? Highly classified macroeconomic risk assessments, continuously refined by elite quantitative hackers at Tier 1 institutions like Standard Chartered Bank, have established a mathematically grounded baseline target of $8 per token for the conclusion of this specific processing cycle. To the uninitiated civilian operator, currently psychologically traumatized by months of agonizing artificial suppression, an $8 projection sounds like impossible utopian science fiction designed merely to generate false hope and trap retail liquidity. But to the elite netrunner who understands the absolute mathematical certainty of a violently constricting physical supply curve colliding head-on with exponential institutional utility bandwidth, an $8 valuation is merely a highly conservative orbital waypoint on the journey to total structural dominance. However, you cannot successfully navigate this high-stakes digital wealth transition without a ruthlessly disciplined, completely emotionless framework. Human greed, impatience, and panic are the ultimate fatal vulnerabilities when attempting to achieve escape velocity from a dying financial matrix. I strictly mandate the immediate implementation of an automated execution strategy known as the Thirds Protocol. When the network price violently shatters the historical all-time high resistance parameter of $3.84, you must automatically execute a tactical payload release and sell exactly 33% of your holdings. This unemotional maneuver secures a complete, absolute recovery of your initial fiat capital deployment, instantly transforming the remainder of your digital portfolio into pure stress-free profit. The secondary operational tranche is programmed to ride the algorithmic liquidity wave toward the $8 institutional target zone, serving as your ultimate liberation vehicle out of the fiat system. The final tertiary portion must be securely encrypted and locked in deep cold storage. Secure your keys, trust the data,